lot of ways people can come into Bruce Springsteen's music, and I know a lot of fans. But I'm the only one I know of that can say that they came to Bruce's music through Pat Robertson and the 700 Club. I grew up in southern West Virginia, and in a very religious family where the church considered rock music to be a thing of the devil and evil, and just simply wasn't allowed in my house in my childhood. The only music I really heard growing up was gospel music, naturally, and 50s music, ironically enough. My father was a child of the 50s, a big Elvis fan, and that was acceptable in our house. But in his mind, that was an innocent era of rock music, and that he really felt that the Beatles ruined music. So after that, anything else was considered unacceptable. So naturally, when there's things that you're not allowed to have as a child, that's what you want more. And so I really longed for whatever bits of pop culture and music that I could get. I'd hear things at school, I'd sneak and listen to the radio. I would hide a transistor radio that I would take to bed with me at night, and hide under the covers and hear all this wonderful music. The 80s were a great time for pop music. Arguably, terrestrial radio was at its peak. MTV also at its peak, where you had all this music that didn't necessarily have a lot to do with each other, being played back to back to back. So some of the biggest albums of all time, Purple Rain, Like a Virgin, Joshua Tree, Thriller, George Michael's Faith, Songs from the Big Chair, and of course, Born in the USA. All of that during that same time frame. And I'd listen to this stuff, and I'd sneak and listen to this stuff, and I liked it all pretty much equally. Whatever I could hear, I liked. But then one day, fatefully enough, on the Christian Broadcasting Network, on television, Pat Robertson came on with the 700 Club and had a special story about this patriot, this young American who was bringing values back to rock music. And there was this story, of course, on Bruce Springsteen. And I was familiar with Bruce's music from the singles that I'd already heard on the radio. And even in my 12, 13-year-old mind, I knew that Pat Robertson was misinterpreting Born in the USA. I knew this wasn't some simple jingoistic hymn the way that he was portraying it. But I also knew that it was an opening, and I was going to take any opening I could get. And so I talked to my parents about it, and I showed them this clip of Pat Robertson basically endorsing Bruce Springsteen and his music. And they relented. I was able to get that album. And then that album led to other Bruce albums. And honestly, once the dam has been broken down, I knew that that was going to be my gateway, not into just Bruce's music. I mean, it really opened up the entire world of music to me. And I never looked back. It really changed my life.